Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about We Wear the Mask, written by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, this work by Paul Laurence Dunbar it's interesting because it's a work that's talking about putting on a mask, right? Especially in everything. Well, how the world is like basically after the pandemic hit. The work is talking about wearing a mask and hiding emotions, and it's talking about when you're facing internal issues and internal problems, but you can't share it with the public and you can't share it with the world, and you kind of have to hide your true feelings behind your mask. And the mask that Paul Laurence Dunbar is talking about within this work, it's not the mask that you wear to protect yourself from disease. It's the type of mask where your face is covered and people can't really tell your true emotions. Now, Paul Laurence Dunbar, when he wrote this, it doesn't mention discrimination or slavery or anything like that. It really just focuses on, you are facing oppression. So this poem could really fit for any minority groups that's facing oppression, and they kind of have to put on a happy face to face the world that's in front of them. So within the poem, we see Paul Laurence Dunbar. He talks about, your heart is in tatters. You're on a long path. You're going through mud. You're going through a tough time. He's talking about African Americans after the Civil War, what they had to go through, the discrimination they had to face. He's talking about how this mask that's on your face shows that you're happy and that you're at bliss. It's that you're having a good time, but you're really not, because internally, because the poem, what's really amazing about it is that it describes what's happening both on the outside and the inside of the African American population after the Civil War. And it mentions that on the inside your heart is not in a good place. It mentions that your true feelings, this mask is putting on a show for the public. This mask is putting on a show for those who are around you, but you yourself, you're not happy. And even though if the world is in this illusion that you're happy, or that African Americans are happy after the Civil War, it's not true, because they still didn't have equal rights and civil rights, and they had to face discrimination. And especially after the Civil War, everything was 100 times harder and tougher. So African Americans had to face lynchings and killings, and they weren't protected under the law, and life was 100 times worse. So that's the poem. It's it really goes into detail. If you read it for yourself, it really goes into detail. It talks about the African American heart, or just the heart of an oppressed people, because this poem, since it doesn't outright mentions American slavery and racism and discrimination, it could be applied to different groups of people. So depending on what group you're talking about, it mentions the hearts of that group of people being broken, being in tatters. It mentions that the smile that's on their face in public, that's not their true smile. And that's very significant, and I think that's very powerful, especially in the time that we are now, because of this pandemic that's worldwide. You don't really know people's true emotions when you're in public, because you can't see truly if they're smiling or not, if they're happy or not. I mean, you can see their eyes, but I mean, how much emotion can you tell by just somebody's eyes? I mean, you can tell some emotion, but the amount of emotion that you could probably see on somebody's face a few years ago, you're not picking up the same thing. You're talking to people and you're not entirely taking in their expressions, and that's very significant to human life and how we've always lived on this planet as human beings, on reading what people are saying with their face. Because language, within the world, especially to humans, it's expressed a lot through body language and the way that your face, the faces that you make. I mean, I'm talking to you right now, and at several points I'm throwing my hands in the air, and for some reason, I guess I'm communicating with this. I mean, everybody does this, from politicians to leaders to teachers. Why do we do this? I mean, why does my hands have to be doing this? I mean, it's just we just communicate a lot with our bodies and our language, and not being able to see what people truly feel, makes you think about the world and where you are. So, Paul Laurence Dunbar, in this poem, he's saying that African Americans or any minority groups that's facing oppression, their hearts are at pain. They're in pain. They're going through a muddy situation. They're in a difficult situation. They see the world for how it is. They have to hide their true feelings. There's nowhere else for them to turn, but they will wear the mask because that's the only way they can survive. That's the only way they can go forward. That's the only way they can face the oppression that was, placed upon them. And that this poem is just very significant. I think it connects it just connects to our world, and the deeper meaning, the analysis here, it's a poem where, for me, I think it's not just based just for one people. It wasn't created for one people, since it doesn't outright mention who it's, what group or sect it's for. So it opens it up to other minority groups in human history, and when they had to put on a mask and face the troubles in their lives. It also, I think, it applies to just individuals, because I feel like a lot of people in certain circumstances throughout society, you have to put on a mask to get by. Sometimes when it's at work or with your family members or with your friends, sometimes you have to put on this persona or in this mask and really try, hide your true feelings, because you don't want attention, or you just want to lay low and just survive and not be judged and not be interrogated, because when you don't show, when you're not happy, when you don't have a smile on your face, people want to ask questions, people want to investigate, and life might even get worse for you, because it's just emotions and expressions. It opens doors for people to look into your life and to look into how you are, and look into your being. And when you put on a mask, it's easier to get by sometimes, rather than sharing your true feelings. So that's my summary. That's my analysis of this work. That's just to get you guys exploring this poem by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Very fascinating poem, and I think it's not directly related to the world we're facing today, but I feel like because it's different mask. He's talking about a different mask. It's not the mask that we use for safety and health today. It's kind of like it's different mask, but they both hide true expressions and emotions in their own specific ways. That's my perspective, if that makes sense. But that's everything. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in my next video.